Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in to the show. Got a couple of Murder Minutes finest with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we're coming your way with the 48th edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. Got a lot of topics we're going to cover today, but the first thing we're about to get into is the UFC. They had UFC 206 last week. First fight we're about to get into is Choi versus Swanson. You brought it up last week, Darnell, before the show even started about Choi. That guy's an absolute beast, man. I was really impressed with his performance that night. Even though he did get an L, that guy has a lot of potential.
Yeah, it was one I was looking forward to. It didn't let people down. That was two men standing up and giving each other their best shots. Everybody's already calling it an early candidate for fight late candidate for fight of the year, I guess, since we only have 2 weeks left in the year. It's going to be fresh in people's mind, and both guys showed that they have some power, and they both showed that they have chins to take some heavy shots. And Choi, this was his first test with the upper parts of the division, showed that he can stand and bang with him. Probably shows he has some holes in his game he has to fix to maybe next time be on the winning side of that. But yeah, very fun fight, very great fight.
Yeah, you just hit it, man. That guy, both of the guys, they had just a great chin. They were both able to just take some punches and just stick with it in that fight and, deliver punishment as well. So it was a very entertaining fight. Can't wait to see both of those guys get back in the ring. Choi, he's 25 right now, so, he still has some area to improve in his game as well as just get better. So, but if he sticks with it, man, he keeps that up. My man Aldo definitely going to have to be on the lookout for this guy because that dude's a beast. We'll kind of get back to those two in a minute because we got to talk about that the main event for that night. But up next, we'll go right to Cerrone versus Brown. How did you feel about that fight?
Also just kind of went as expected. Another one where both were going to come out and give their best shots. Neither was going to really be scared to throw at the other. Matt Brown had some early moments in it, but Cerrone took over and then laid him out took him down with a nice head kick. It's just Cerrone continues to amaze.
Yeah, I'm really starting to become a huge fan of Cerrone. Before.
Just now?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I wasn't really, I didn't hate him. I didn't like him. I was just okay, Cerrone's fighting. But that guy has just been hella impressive, man, since I've been watching him. With his last fight, I forgot who he fought before Brown, but that was a great, impressive knockout he had against his last fight. And now against the performance that he had against Brown, that guy's really been catching my eye. The dude's a beast. We should have definitely been following him more until the last a couple years or so. But yeah, Cowboy, he has all my respect now, man. That dude is a beast. Really just a huge fan of him in that ring, man. He just pulls it off, man. It just keeps going at it. The guy, they call him the busiest man in the UFC. He's always willing to set the fight. So just huge props for him.
Yeah, he's already scheduled to fight again in January.
They scheduled him already?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, man.
Just to add to that busiest man, yeah, he fights Jorge Masvidal January 28th in Denver.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, because, he's in the welterweight division. Obviously they're probably going to have Woodley and my man Thompson fight again. But you think if he wins in January, you think he should be up next for the title shot?
It's going to be hard to deny that for him. I mean, he's on a tear, and his last loss was to RDA, I believe.
Yeah,
And since then, he hasn't just been squeaking by people or working out decisions. He's been putting people down, and that's a weight class up. So
exactly. Yeah,
it's going to be kind of hard to at least have him in the conversation.
yeah,
He has to be thought of as a option for the next defense for whoever wins in the rematch out of Tyron Woodley and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
yeah. So, yeah, I think that was his fifth or sixth straight win in the welterweight division. So he's been going at it, man. Really, just pleasure to watch that guy get in the ring for sure. Now, up next, we're about to talk about Pettis versus Holloway. Kind of interesting before going into the fight. Pettis, he made his way down to 145, and then before he got into the ring with him, he missed weight by 3 pounds. So after the fight, he lost to Holloway in the ring, it looks like he's going to go back up and fight because he just was talking about how he struggled to make weight for this fight. So it was kind of just a short moment for him in that weight class. But what did you think about his performance against Holloway?
I mean, I was surprised by it because I think we both picked him to win.
Yeah.
But Holloway just kind of buzzsawed him.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was because of how tough the weight cut was, if it took a lot out of him, but it just that wasn't Anthony Pettis.
Yeah. And two, I don't know if you forgot, but yeah, he did. Looks sound like he broke his right hand in the ring too. So that kind of limits him a bit with his striking and whatnot. But Holloway did his thing against him, man. So
yeah, I mean, all the props to Max Holloway. He did what he needed to do. He looked impressive, and he finished the fight and earned that interim belt. And now he gets to match up with Jose Aldo, it looks like, and I'm going to be excited to see that.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Holloway, he was talking trash after the fight, so last person that talked trash to Jose Aldo, knocked him out quick. So
yeah.
I want to see how mentally he will be able to handle the trash talk from Holloway, because it seems like Holloway just going to get on him and on him closer and closer the fights get. So that's going to be a good mental test for Aldo.
Yeah, and Holloway he's the person that gave Conor McGregor his best fight at featherweight.
That's right. Yeah,
most competitive fight. So definitely interested on that front to see how Jose can bounce back against a guy who was the toughest test, I guess we'll say, for his nemesis.
Yeah. Now, Cub Swanson, he did ended up winning the same night against Choi, as we just talked about. Where do you think he ranks in that division with those guys? Could you see him possibly, whoever wins out of Aldo and Holloway, you think he could get that title shot next, or you think there's still more left for him to prove?
There might be. He might have to have another fight in front of him. Okay. But it's not crazy. Like, Cub Swanson's a known commodity at that weight class. Tough fighter as shown. And, by having a fight like that, I mean, Dana and company do seem to reward exciting fighters that, are willing to get in there and go balls to the wall. So it's not out of the question, but I think he probably has to get another fight, another win under his belt.
Okay. But just finally, man, what's next for Pettis? Are his best days over with? Because we expected him to do great in the featherweight division, but he struggled to make weight. Now he's going back up to the class that he was struggling with. Previously lost 3 straight in that class. So, what do you expect out of him, man?
I don't know. I mean, it was a quick rise and a quick fall for him.
Yeah.
Blasted onto the scene, to showing the Showtime kick everywhere from the last fight in WEC between him and Henderson, and once he got the title from Henderson in the UFC. You know, he thought the sky was the limit. He was on Wheaties boxes and everything, and then he lost his title, tore his ACL, and he just hasn't been able to find that magic again. So, it's tough to see because he when he's at his best, he's exciting, he's fun to watch, he's strikes from all angles and is creative, but sometimes it's tough to come back from injuries like that, especially when your game is based on athleticism like his is.
Yeah.
He's not totally lacking technique, but he's just, I guess he's kind of one of those, he's one of those tweeners. He's kind of too small for 155, but apparently it's hard for him to get down to 145. So
yeah,
that's tough for him. Like when you're a man between weight classes where you kind of don't fit in either.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure a way. He was living off of just the talent and athleticism, keeping him at the top of the 155 weight class, but, it seems like he slowed down a notch, or people started to figure him out. Seemed to get that game plan where if you pressure him, he can't use his free-flowing offense. So, and, everybody at 155 is bigger where they can press the action against him.
Yeah. So, yeah, you basically nailed it, man. It's going to be interesting to see how he's going to rebound after that loss. Especially, I thought these were going to be looking great for him at the featherweight, but have problems making weight. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes and responds after that L. All right. Any other comments you have to say for the UFC?
I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week. This one of those where I think if this one was on free TV, they would have made a lot of fans just because of how crazy some of these fights were.
Just that Choi Swanson fight, man. Just that alone would have gathered them. So I would like to see how that sold. Because like I said, I think that would have been a good opportunity for them to switch and put that on Fox. Since their heavy hitters, Cormier and Johnson, were not going to be able to duke it out. So, I think that would have been a good move by them, man. I think you just hit it too. I think they missed out on an opportunity to gain some fans through that because they had some great fights on there. All right. Next thing we're about to get into is NCAA basketball. You too, man. What do you guys think about the season so far?
I think in terms of the early season, we've had a lot to be excited about. We've seen a lot of really good freshman talent. I think most notably, from everybody's radar, we saw Josh Jackson struggle a little early, but find his ground. We saw Miles Bridges play a few times on national TV and played very well and impressed a lot of people, including myself. I didn't know a ton about him coming into the season, but saw a lot that I liked. Unfortunately, he has an ankle injury right now, but should be back before too long from what I understand. Is that right, Darnell?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
About a week away.
Yeah. So he'll just miss a small handful of games, but be back in plenty of time for Big Ten play to start. And then probably a player that was not on a lot of people's radar, but has really shown up has been Lonzo Ball. Great freshman out of UCLA, can do it all, handle the ball, drawing a lot of Jason Kidd comparisons. I think they're quite accurate too. I know, Darnell, you may have a little bit better insight to that, as Kidd's one of your top guys that you like to talk about. So, I'll let you touch on that too. But, and then, we see a lot of players that have come back that are playing, some pretty good ball. A lot of players for North Carolina, for Duke. Kentucky has a lot of freshmen that are nice too. But, it's early in the season. We've seen a few good games. We've seen the number one team lose a few times. Villanova doesn't look like they're going to hand it over without a big fight from somebody. So, a lot to be excited about early. Conference play is going to be starting up before too long, and then things will start to get really exciting with a lot of rivalry games. But thoughts on the season so far is that they're good. There are a lot of must-watch players, and then you have your top of the middle teams that you always tune in to watch. So good stuff so far this season. Nothing's really been turning people away from watching it. Nothing's saying, oh, that's not right. It's just a lot of typical hard-playing college basketball so far, and a lot of good teams at the top, and I expect a lot of them to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the season's going about where you'd expect. The top expected teams are showing what they are. Things are starting to shake out a little bit. We'll learn more, like when Ty said, when we get into league play for a lot of these teams where they're playing coaches and schools that are familiar with the play style of these teams. So ball games get a little more tighter, a little more close. As far as Lonzo Ball, yeah, he's been pretty much the surprise of the year. He basically does a little bit of everything. Tall guard, 6'6", a little under 200 pounds. I guess I could see a little bit of kid there, but I think Ball is light years ahead of him as far as shooting goes at this point in the game. He has some range, but as far as that athleticism goes, and being able to take other guards down low, and he has a knack for getting the ball out to people to score too. I can see some of that.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people are seeing the kid comparison is in the athleticism, the ability to drive and dish, the ability to keep it and score at the rim. I think it's totally there for Lonzo Ball. I think he's very quickly moving himself into the lottery.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think many, well, at least that I'm aware of, I don't think many people were talking about him before the season started. But when mock drafts come around, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the top 5. I think he is NBA ready. I think he'll need to bulk up a little bit, but the NBA just naturally does that to you. So, I think he'll be ready by the time the end of the season rolls around, for sure.
For sure, yeah, the size will come with going to that next level and the strength with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, you can't deny it. Freshman kid averaging 15 and 8, and he's still getting about 5 rebounds too, and getting a block a game. So he's doing a lot with his 190-pound frame at 6'6".
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, getting into the NBA, he'll easily rise that to about 220. And then he'll be there. But yeah, I think Lonzo Ball's been the player I've been impressed with the most. Basically going from off the radar to right in front of your face. So, it was also nice seeing him play, my team, Michigan. So really getting a good look at him and a game where he shot the ball extremely well. So it's not like, I saw an average effort or something like that out of him. I actually got to see him put out a really good show. So that definitely helped me be very impressed with what he's able to do.
All right, now, just Darren, I would just like to know, you're a Michigan State fan. They started off pretty rough, but they started picking it up, man. How do you feel about them?
Use Denny Green right now. They are who I think they are. Young team, still trying to learn how to play together. Izzo's learning how to deal with a freshman-laden team that a lot of freshmen are getting a lot of minutes from him. Of course, he knows how to input like one-star freshman in with everybody else. He's had that going. So, you would think that would have been Bridges this year. He's done it with Gary Harris, Zach Randolph, to name a few, just like star freshmen that he had to, get minutes to. But he's had to go to the well for a lot of positions right now. Langford's getting a lot of minutes. Cassius Winston's, both of them have started to start a couple games, and now the next surprise for them is freshman forward Nick Ward, who's becoming their low post presence, and which I think has turned out to be the blessing of not having Bridges for these couple games. It's forced him to see what else he has, and give some other players some chances to step up and earn some minutes. So I think once they get back to full strength, and league play, where things start to slow down for everybody, and they'll start winning some of those games that are coin flips to maybe people don't think they should win. I think that talent will start to come through, and Izzo's coaching will always be there.
All right. What about Utah? Like, who you following this year? You still for Michigan or somebody else?
Yeah, I'll always look at Michigan, and I've said it for years. Michigan's lived by the three, die by the three. They hung around with UCLA for a half by making, I think they had 12 or 13 3-pointers in the first half. I mean, they were honestly shooting lights out, and then it kind of just faded a little bit on them. And but yeah, I'll always like that Michigan team. Just one of the home state, things like that. Plus, it's one of those things where if you're from the state of Michigan, well, you like one or the other, you're not going to go, oh, Michigan football, state basketball. It's like, no, that discredits you right away. But some other teams that I follow. I follow North Carolina. I like watching them a lot. I really got into them in the Hansbrough Lawson days. Back in that 2007, 2008 range, and I've liked them pretty much even a little bit before that. But that was the team that really solidified. Like, oh, I really like North Carolina now, and seeing them this year, they're fighting an injury right now with Barry. He shoots the three well for him. He's a point guard. Shoots the 3-pointer well for him. And as of late, North Carolina hasn't really been shooting the three extremely well. So, they'll get him back. They'll right their ship a little bit. They lost some key players from last year, most notably, Bryce Johnson and, Marcus Page. I think those are their two biggest losses. So they're still trying to figure out a little bit who they are. I mean, currently they are 10-1. They're still having a really good season. That loss coming at Indiana in a really good game. They still have Justin Jackson, Kennedy Meeks. So they'll be there. Kennedy Meeks is a good player. I like him. Good low post player. I think everybody right now is going to be following UCLA, seeing what they're able to do. With Lonzo Ball, they're a lot of fun to watch. They're going to be the talk of the town in Los Angeles. So, well, definitely in terms of basketball right now. I mean, the Lakers are getting their trade. Don't worry, Lakers are getting there. But UCLA right now is going to be bringing all the stars out to their home games. So they'll be a lot of fun to watch going forward. Villanova, I think a lot of people still need to see what Villanova really has. They're kind of the team that plays in, a little bit of a weaker conference, one of those expected to run the table type teams, but, I'll wait for them to get tested a little bit. I haven't gotten a great look at them yet this year. I've seen some highlights and stuff where they break away from a tight game. So, I mean, they have the ability. They're number one. They're 10-0. Everyone will keep an eye at whoever's at the top. So, but yeah, so for me, it's more, I just kind of have a more rounded, you kind of look at everybody, see what everybody's doing. I'll even keep an eye on Michigan State, see what they're up to. So for me, that's the fun of college basketball, knowing your team's that great of a team. You kind of look at everybody and you don't get a tunnel vision. So, yeah, just trying to keep an eye on as much of it as I can, to be honest.
All right. Now, based upon, what you guys have seen so far, who would you say that you believe are the top 5 teams so far in the season?
It's tough because this early, like I said, we'll know a lot more when it comes to conference play. But from what I've seen, there have been some really good early season matchups. Who I like, I think you kind of have to give the nod to Villanova, number 1, defending national champion. Haven't lost yet. From what I've seen, they look pretty good. So I'll keep them at the 1. I'll put UCLA at the 2. I think they're very impressive. Not really having a ton to base them on last year. They didn't even make the tournament. So it's not like you can kind of give them an edge over somebody or anything like that. So I like Villanova at 1. I like UCLA at 2. I really like Duke at 3. Their freshmen are starting to get healthy. Tatum and Gills, I believe. Gillis?
I think it's Gillis.
Gills, yeah. So, once those guys really get acclimated into it, I think Duke's gonna be solid. So I'll put Duke at 3, Kentucky at 4, and then I like probably Kansas at 5, with North Carolina close behind at 6.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty fair assessment there. I mean, I guess, yeah, if I'm looking at it, I'm gonna put I'm good with the top 2 teams as far as rankings go. Villanova, they're defending champs, so give them their nod. UCLA has just been balling out. Kansas, yeah, blue blood, I'll keep them there. And then I'll probably, just talent-wise, I'll probably slip Kentucky up there at 4 after them. And, I mean, this regular season tournament will be different, but I think I would have Baylor rounded out.
All right. You guys have anything to say about your assessments?
Yeah, I mean, Baylor, for me, they'd be at that 7. The only reason I think I would put them that low is, I don't know, I always, for me, I think it's more of a history thing with Baylor than anything else. I always feel like they're always that team that kind of hangs around but loses kind of a dumb one. So for me, it's more of just a personal preference there. That's why I'm not going to slide Baylor up there, but, I think, you can really interchange any of those top 5 or 6 teams at this point. But like, we say, you kind of give the nod to the defending national champion, that you kind of give the nod to the team with the hot players right now, and right now it's UCLA. So really any of those teams are interchangeable to me. It's just the fact that, some are a little more, eye candy than others, and that's kind of what UCLA is right now. But, still, they deserve to be there. Not going to say they don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the way I'm looking at it, it's still very early in this season. But, I mean, I guess I still have Baylor in there just because they are really talented all around. It's just, like I said, March, I'm not saying I'm picking them to go super deep because they're one of those teams that will break your heart usually if you're rooting for them to go very far. They're one of those teams that seems to blow it early by just not playing together, but can't deny how much talent they have on their team.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was about to ask you guys, I was meaning to ask you guys this a while ago, but last year Louisville hit the news for about some stuff that they had going, scandals that they had going on. Currently, they're 9-1. But you guys said that, still early in the season and everything. Do you expect that to really have what was going on with last year to really start to have an effect on them later on into the year?
I doubt it. I mean, it's Pitino's team. They're going to be in a bubble, basically. And, I mean, probably in the locker room, they're using it as a us against the world type deal, Let's show we're above that or whatever would play on the court. So, I doubt it. I doubt that has an effect on anything on the court. It's just going to come down to them playing better teams.
Okay.
Yeah, the only way I think it starts to affect them is if a lot of information or stuff starts to resurface. Because right now, in reality, nobody probably even remembers what even happened or what the violations were. So something would have to resurface. They'd have to be talking about it next to nonstop for it to really affect this team. I mean, right now they're 9-1. I think I caught them on TV a couple times. You know, they look like they have the talent. So I'm with Darnell. The only thing that's really going to hurt them at this point is if they fall into just a losing streak and they start to lose confidence. I don't see it being the violations unless that resurfaces.
All right.
Yeah, especially, I mean, what the violations are, I don't think it's anything that really bothers kids on the team.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, it was basically, I mean, for those that don't remember, basically, I guess they were buying hookers for recruits and stuff like that, and setting up random parties where stuff that you wouldn't want going on for your 18-year-old, I guess. But I mean, I don't think it's anything that they're probably too worried about, honestly, especially if it got them to sign their letter of intent. But yeah, so I don't think it affects the play on the court.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, guys, anything else to add to NCAA basketball before we move on?
None.
All right. About to get into the NCAA football now. Had quite a bit of coaching moves so far. What are your thoughts about the coaching moves so far into this end of the season?
They've kind of shaken out basically as expected. You know, Texas, they did end up firing and hiring, and you know, probably the one that most expected to get that job got it with Tom Harmon out of Houston. Yep. He's in a good situation. I think that team's ready-made to win 9-10 games next year. I'll think it's probably a disappointment if they don't, especially since now they're bringing in a guy that I think most of the boosters will be behind. I didn't feel that it was ever really a good situation for Charlie Strong, even though he did good things there. I just don't think he really ever had full support of the boosters and everybody. So I think that one was a good fit. And otherwise, I think, you know, you got Lane Kiffin. We said earlier this year he was going to be a hot name, especially if things go well. He's getting his next shot at head coaching. He might actually be in a spot where he can be left to his own devices and not destroy a place. So that might work out for him. I'll look to see how it goes. And me and Ty were talking earlier. I think at the aforementioned Charlie Strong, I think his new landing spot actually works out well for him too.
Okay, why is
that? A good program, and I think he'll have them going swimmingly. I think he'll turn out a nice first year, wash the stink off his Texas experience, and maybe in a couple years he's ready to get another top level D1 job.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I agree, especially with the Texas job. It was the fire and hire everyone saw coming. So I think that'll work out real well for Texas. I think it was one of those best for both parties. Harmon's going to do well there. He's good for Texas. Texas is good for him. He started there as a grad assistant, so it's kind of a full circle job for him. So I think this is the right move there for both sides, and I expect it to work out. I think out of before I move on to the one I was surprised by, also with Houston hiring the offensive coordinator, Applegate.
Major Applewhite,
that's right, yeah. To me, it makes sense when Harmon left. A lot of the players felt betrayed. A lot of them were upset and mad. So there was going to be some bad blood there between a lot of the players and Armin. So to bring in a guy that all the players know and already trust, I think that's a smart move. Kind of just give the next guy in line his shot. But like I said, most importantly, the players will be behind it and they'll play for him. So I think that move made a lot of sense. It kept the team together. I still won't be surprised if you see some transfers or stuff happen out of that, but for the majority, I think it's going to keep that program together. But the hire I was surprised by was the Lane Kiffin one. I didn't expect him to go to Florida Atlantic. Granted, I don't really know where I saw him going, but I don't know. It just kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I think I was expecting him to end up not necessarily with a huge program, but a bigger type program. I didn't expect him to get that Houston job, but maybe a school like a Houston. But I guess that is Florida Atlantic. So, I also wouldn't have been surprised if he maybe made a jump to offensive coordinator in the NFL somewhere. I saw that being a real strong possibility, but hey, if you're looking to head coach, you have to take a step back to move forward. So, being the offensive coordinator at Alabama is a really nice gig. He was probably being paid very well there. Now he'll have his own program, like you said, and he'll be able to do things his way. He just can't get in his own way and mess it up. I think he'll do well. He'll get kids to go there and play. I think he'll recruit well as well. So, don't wish bad on anybody in their new coaching ventures. I hope everybody does well. I even hope Charlie Strong, keeps that program rolling. They had a good season this year, so I think he'll be able to do well at a lesser type conference and then make his way back up. So, in terms of all the hires, I'm not against any of them. I like them. The only one I was a little surprised by was the Lane Kiffin hire. And like I said, I just didn't expect him to go somewhere like a Florida Atlantic. I didn't think his ego would allow him to settle for that. So, definitely humbling for him to take that. So, hope he does well.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Kiffin goes, I guess what I thought would be he either went up for an OC job in the NFL or he took a mid-major, to say, type school job. Because I think a lot of the big schools is still a little, he's a scary hire. Just because.
Risk reward.
Yeah, every shot he's had at head coaching at a NFL team or a major program, it has ended with a dumpster fire. I mean, with him, leaving Tennessee and basically in the middle of the night to go to the Raiders firing him at the airport. And USC ended pretty badly as well for him. So I think it was just, and him landing at Alabama, I think was a good thing for him to have a really strong personality head coach in front of him because Kiffin's he's one of those offensive minds that thinks he can work his plays to do everything and not stick to what works. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure it probably got to the point where he got tired of hearing him run the ball lane. At Alabama was saving because, he likes to fling it and call plays that are with all these intricate routes, but hopefully he's learned that if you have a great O-line and a stable of running backs, you need to use those as well. So hopefully this stop worked well for him and he can show what he learned from the master at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, kind of to piggyback what you guys were saying, I was kind of pretty shocked by the move of Lane Kiffin as well. Just the key reason for me, I don't care what profession, whether you're a coach, basketball player, preacher, whatever it may be, very rarely do people get the opportunity to say, hey, I was working under possibly the greatest, coach of all time, the greatest basketball player of all time. So when I thought about this, Lane Kiffin, I do understand where you guys we're coming from with, previous coaching experiences, as well, such as Tennessee, USC, and, NFL. But right now I was kind of looking at, this guy's 41 years old. He was coaching at a very young age. For him to get under Saban, I would have stayed there longer, just because, like I just said, very rarely do you get an opportunity to be under somebody considered possibly the greatest of all time under their profession. So he could have learned more about Saban's philosophies, his work ethic, how to, work with teams, and so forth, so that, possibly, if Saban was to retire down the road, he could take over the Alabama position, or if somebody, a bigger name school other than, Florida Atlantic, he could have went after that as well. But, But yeah, Lane, he was probably just itching to get into another head coaching job. Since this was something that probably has a huge passion for, but that was taken away from him through previous experiences.
So I get what you're saying, but one, we don't know when Saban's going to retire. Two, I don't think Alabama would offer him even if Saban did retire and he was there another however long, because that perception would be he's good if he has somebody keeping him in control, keeping him under control. And I think that would probably be the thought process for most bigger colleges. And I think Kiffin's smart enough to know he has to prove that he's learned from his past mistakes by taking a smaller school head coaching job.
Yeah, we're all side with you there, Darnell. Is okay. A lot of coaches end up getting their coaching start at some of the smaller schools. I mean, we look at Lane Kiffin. The two other college head coaching jobs he had at Tennessee and USC, he didn't exactly wow anybody. I mean, look, he was at Tennessee for 1 year, 7-6, and then the years he was at USC, 8-5, 10-2. That's a good season, but 7-6, and then fired during the next season. I mean, like, that isn't exactly a successful record to get an Alabama coaching job, let alone any other big time job. So he doesn't have the track record that allows him to get that job, or really any big job. So the Florida Atlantic job makes sense. That's why I said I expected an offensive coordinating position in the NFL over getting a college head coaching job. That's why it made more sense to me. Just his track record isn't there.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of just coaching, like I mentioned at first, the way he ended two of his other three jobs, I still don't think USC is very fond of him anymore either, but they hate him at Rocky Top. And the Raiders, he was actually just doing stuff to get fired. Like, what was he? Tried to have Sebastian Janikowski kick like a 70-yard field goal at some point. With the Raiders, like, he was trying to get fired. So he had a lot of immaturity that he has to show that he has grown up from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that definitely for sure. Like I said, he was young when he was doing that, but like I said, my key takeaway out of it is, you know, you got an opportunity to learn from possibly, you know, if not the greatest, one of the greatest. So that could really be a chance for him to, you know, stick under Saban and mature some more to make sure that, you know, he's got everything together. Okay, guys. Anything else to add to NCAA football about coaching?
No.
Okay. Up next, we're about to get into the NFL. What's been making huge news this week is regarding the Cowboys about possibly benching Dak and starting Romo. Is the media making a huge deal out of this?
It's way overblown. In what other situation would somebody lose one game, not like didn't get blown out, but lost one game, and all of a sudden you're talking about bench him? Like, just that is just beyond ridiculous to me. I know he's a rookie, but he had won 10 straight games, and then he loses one, and now it's like, well, we need to go back to...
And lost to the team that was the only team that beat him, so lost to the same team twice, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in this situation, it was in New York. Yeah. Weather wasn't great. You know, the game kind of, it fit both teams if Dallas would have been able to run the ball a little better. But it was a close game still. And, you know, it's not like Dak Prescott just, you know, crapped the bed totally and threw 5 picks and lost 45-10.
Yeah.
Like, just come on. Like, he had a rough game. I don't think it's what we would call a rookie wall. Let him play a couple games and see. Like, I'm not saying it can't get to that point, but one game is not enough to start calling for the backup.
Yeah.
I agree. It's just an odd situation to begin with because not every backup's Tony Romo.
True.
So, I mean, it's an odd situation from the start. And it was when they started winning. I mean, the intention was never to play Dak Prescott this long. It just happened. The fact that he was rolling, the team was rolling, and they stuck with it. I mean, I understand all this, you know, oh, should we be looking at bringing Tony in? Like, I get it, but I also understand that, I mean, Dak's won you 11 games. Does one little hiccup, you know, make him deserve to be pulled? Like, and that's where I'm with you, Darnell. I don't think it does. I mean, like you said, it's not like they were blown out. It's not like he threw 5 interceptions. You know, they just lost. They lost to a division rival, on the road, prime time, and it was cold. I mean, there's not much that's going for you when stuff like that's the situation. So, in my mind, it's just a loss. You're 11-2. You're the best team in the NFL, record-wise. To start calling for him to be benched, I mean, I think that's a little premature. I think you need to look into it a little deeper than that. Just because they lost one game.
Yeah.
All right, now, next question that I have for you guys is about Tom Brady. You know, he's 39 years old. He's still doing his thing. Very disappointed in the Ravens Monday, man. They stepped it up the second half, but you can't give a guy like Tom Brady a good 20 points to have a lead in the second half and then expect to try to come back after that. So, very disappointing to see that in that game. But just overall, like, how many good years do you think Tom Brady still has left in him?
In the Patriots offense as they play, 5
Yeah.
At least. I mean, he still has a live enough arm to get the ball downfield, but, they do a lot of short drag routes. They use their running backs as receivers. And, he hasn't had any health issues that have really taken down the zip on his throws or anything like that. And he's a smart quarterback, so yeah, he still has a lot of years.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll call it quits with some still in the tank, to be honest. I mean, the guy doesn't have much more to accomplish in the game. I mean, granted, as long as he's on the field, he's going to want to win the Super Bowl. But like Darnell said, the system fits him. He fits the system. It's just one of those situations where it couldn't have worked out any better. And they've even really adjusted to Tom Brady as the years have gone on. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at when they got Randy Moss. That's when, Brady was younger, was throwing more deep balls. And then when Brady starts getting older, Moss goes out. And receivers. What it's going to take for Tom Brady to still stick around is, one, obviously him being healthy, and two, some of his bigger playmakers being healthy as well. You're going to look at, Gronkowski. If he's not going to be healthy, Tom Brady's not going to be putting up similar numbers. If LeGarrette Blount's not going to be there to run the ball or another formidable running back, Brady probably won't be around. It also doesn't help that the Patriots are always at the top of the AFC. If they start somehow losing a bunch of games, Brady's not going to stick around. So there's just a couple factors there that don't necessarily solely lean on him that still need to be in place for him to stick around. But if everything is in place and he's healthy, I don't see why he can't play 5 more.
Now, if he was with any other team, say like the Packers or so, you think he would have been done by now?
Maybe not the Packers. I mean, if it's a historic franchise like the Packers, he'd still probably be around. But I don't know. It's hard to say. But if it was not a historic franchise, I think he'd be done. Like, this would probably be it for him.
Okay. All right, guys. You ready for the pick'ems?
Yep.
All right. We are all tied 32 for 62. So let's get right to it. First game that we got is Detroit versus the Giants.
Give me the Lions. Gonna keep going with them.
Yeah, I went with them last week, but I think the Giants are probably the bad matchup for them. That front seven and Stafford with wearing the glove. I'm not sure how it will affect him throwing the ball around, but I think that pass rush might be a little tough for him. So I'm going to go with the Giants.
Don't know if you watched the lines last week, but I can, give a little light to that. I mean, it affected his downfield throwing. He threw a couple that were, not necessarily like the greatest throws in the world, but they just weren't there. That were more downfield. So don't be surprised if we see a lot of Theo Riddick if he plays. A lot of that Tom Brady short pass action going on. That's going to be a big part too. What Detroit's going to do. A lot of passes in the 10 to 15 yard range and shorter. We're going to see a lot of
that. All right. For me, I always believe that in order for you to beat a man, you got to beat the man. The Giants, they beat the man twice, so I think they're going to be coming in this week extremely confident. They're playing at home, so give me the Giants. Up next, we have Philly versus Baltimore.
Yeah, I think Baltimore's going to carry a little bit of momentum from the strong second half against the Patriots. Philly's trending in the wrong direction, unfortunately. Carson Wentz got off to a nice start, but it's slowed down, so I'll take Baltimore in this one.
Yeah, I think both of these teams were late enough in the year where we know what both teams are, and Philly was just not good, so I'm rolling with Baltimore.
All right. Give me them Ravens as well, so hopefully they should rebound from kind of playing pretty bad against the pass, so I'll be looking to see what they could do. All right, up next we have Pittsburgh versus Cincy.
Yeah, give me Pittsburgh. Nice matchup here, though. It's going to be a good one to keep an eye on for sure. I just think Ben Roethlisberger's better than Andy Dalton. I think Le'Veon Bell's better than Jeremy Hill. And I think, depending what happens with AJ Green, it always seems like he could be back. We don't know. But I'll still take the pass catchers for Pittsburgh over the ones for Cincy. So give me Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I just think that Cincy's dealing with just too many injuries, too much worry about who's going to get fired at the end of the year. I'm rolling with Pittsburgh here.
All right. Oh, Pac-Man Jones won't be playing garbage this week, so give me Pittsburgh, man. I think they're going to be pulling it off. Okay, up next we have NOLA versus Arizona. Who you guys have?
And not too often can you say Drew Brees has been garbage, but he has been. So I'll take Arizona. Big fan of David Johnson. The defense is going to be showing up, so I'll take Arizona. The Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm inclined to go the same here. Even if Brees does turn it around and play well, just that defense doesn't do much to help them out, especially if they're not in New Orleans. So, yeah, give me the Cards.
All right, I'm going with Arizona as well. Basically just said it, Darnell. Even though Brees does have a good game, that New Orleans defense is still pretty iffy to me. So I'm going with Arizona. Up next, we have the Patriots versus Denver. Who do you guys have?
I will take the Patriots here. Both teams will play this one real tough. Denver could use a win here for sure. But I don't know that Trevor Siemian can do enough of that offense. I think the Patriots defense is going to pull up some nice schemes on them. And I think New England will be able to use those short passes to their advantage and win the game.
Yeah, Denver's defense is starting to get a little bit healthy again, but I just don't think they're back to the level to stop the Patriots, and I think the Patriots have enough on defense to deal with Trevor Siemian. We might have another game basically like last week where Denver doesn't put up many points, but maybe Emmanuel Sanders gets a lot of targets and a lot of yards racked up, but just probably not enough. So
I don't care what Emmanuel Sanders does anymore. My fantasy season's over. he can do whatever.
All right, I'm going with Denver on this one. It's getting close to playoff time, man. So these two could be meeting down the road quite soon. I just think Denver, they're going to step it up. They're at home, past there without their boy Gronk. So I think this is going to be a time for Denver to just get at Brady and try to get in his head and pull off a win, kind of like they did last year. I do think this game is going to be close, but I think Denver's going to pull it off. Up next, we have Tampa Bay versus Dallas. Could this be the game where Prescott does get benched? We'll see.
Yeah. Interesting matchup, though. Like, Tampa Bay is hit or miss. Their defense is starting to play well. The offense was more hit or miss, but I'm going to go Dallas on this one. I think they'll regain a little bit of confidence before the Lions take it away in 2 weeks. So,
all right.
Yeah, I'm already calling that one. But yeah, seriously, I think Dallas will take this one, and I think Zeke Elliott's just gonna have a really nice day.
Yeah, you kind of took the words from me there. I think Dallas goes back to feeding Zeke a lot and getting back to, trying to maul in the trenches and use that ball control offense that they have. Tampa does have a good defense. So they're going to probably try to key in on Zeke. So we'll have to get some play action out of Dak Prescott as well. So the receivers will come into play. So, we're going to need some stuff out of your Cole Beasley or Jason Witten, and of course the X-Man. So we'll see, but I'm taking Dallas.
Okay, I have Dallas as well. I think this would be a good rebound game for them. I think Prescott's going to have a pretty good game, but I think, they're going to feed the ball to Elliott. Go up there, help carry this team to a W this week. And last but not least, we have Carolina versus Washington. Who you guys got?
Yeah, give me Captain Kirk and the Redskins here. I just haven't been at all impressed with Carolina at any point this year. So I'll take the team that can use the win. Team that still has a playoff shot here. So I'll take Washington. I think Cousins will throw the ball around on this defense. Yeah, I also like Jameson Crowder. I'm a fan, so I'll take Washington.
Yeah, I'm going Washington too. Just Carolina doesn't have it this year.
Yeah.
They're just big fall from grace for them, but don't know what the crux of the issue is, but just they're not good. So give me Washington.
Yeah, I have Washington as well. Just think this would be a good game for Cousins to air it out, pad up his stats as well as get the W. So, Carolina has not been impressive at all this year. So, gonna have to get the stuff together for real there this off season. So, but yeah, I got Washington. All right, guys. Anything else to add overall to the show?
I think just gonna talk about my team here for a second. I think this is a must-win week for Detroit. Kind of unfortunate that Stafford had to get hurt last week. Even though he will play, it'll still be a pretty tall task going to the Meadowlands. They currently have I believe, 2-game lead with 3 weeks to go in the NFC North. So I feel like this is going to be a big one to win for them.
Me too, man. Just shout out to Ezekiel Elliott, man. He's been doing this thing. So far, he still has a possibility of getting 2,000 yards. I doubt he's going to do it, though. He's got 3 games left. He's at 1392 for the yards right now. But either way, if he gets it, he gets it. If he don't, he don't. Still a hell of an impressive season for him. So him and Dak, man, they've been doing this thing. So put the Cowboys back on the map, man. All right, guys, as always, appreciate you all for tuning in to the show. Feel free to check us out on Twitter at DKM_cast. You can also follow our podcast on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, everywhere. Basically, just hit us up in the search bar. We should pop up. So, as always, appreciate y'all for listening. And by the way, feel free to hit my cousin up on YouTube. If you're interested in cars, you can follow him at the Black Scat Pack. But other than that, as always, guys, y'all take it easy and take care. We won't be recording next week due to this Christmas time, so we'll catch y'all after that. Peace.